Oh, Jack Palance. Made a career out of being in, well, gangster films, spaghetti westerns. Most of the film's budget probably went on getting his services. And then obviously sort of in the 1980s he'd go on to appear in City Slickers and the 1989 Batman movie. Palance. Which is basically how Jack Palance approaches pretty much most of his films in his later career and what have you. He was Oscar nominated Best Supporting Actor. His first two films, in 1952 a film called Southern Fear, and then the year after for a slightly more famous film, which I'll get to in a minute. But he was Oscar nominated Best Supporting Actor for both of those films. And considering that he'd come from the stage, I mean he'd started out as being on stage in A Streetcar Named Desire as Marlon Brando's understudy. His second Oscar nomination was for the film Shane, because he was the main antagonist in Shane, and which leads to that wonderful scene where he goads a sheep herder to pick up a gun, or as Bill Hicks once said, pick up the gun. And then proceeds to shoot him and says, "You all saw him, he had a gun." But throughout Jack Palance's career, he was sort of always a constant presence in American film and also in TV. He would pop up in anything. He seems to have sort of taken on sort of this idea of, this is my job, I have to pay the mortgage, I don't care if it's in the film or in the TV or whatever, I am an actor, this is how I do things. But massively well travelled. If you think it's a bit strange that he's turned up in a very low budget British sword and sorcery epic, he's been all over the place. He was in the UK, so making films in the 60s, he was in France as well, doing things as well. There's a TV movie where he played Dracula, which up until Francis Ford Coppola did his version, it was known as Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it's sort of one of the adaptations that's more closely linked to the book.
He does have the right face as well to play Dracula or like a vampire. You can just sort of see it in his face.
It's interesting. Gene Colan, who was the artist for Marvel Comics' Tomb of Dracula, basically said, "I based my visual interpretation of Dracula on Jack Palance." Jack Kirby, the king of comics, basically said, "Oh yeah, well, when I was designing Darkseid, Jack Palance was kind of like my that was my starting point, shall we say," which is great. In the preceding years, he'd actually been in Italy making films, and he was based in Italy. And he, in interviews, Palance always basically said that this was one of the most enjoyable periods of his career, because he was once actually asked about making films in Italy, and he said this: "In Italy, everyone on the set has a drinking cubicle, and no one is ever interested in working after lunch. That's a highly civilized way to make a movie."
Hey, they've got the right idea.
It's absolute genius. He finally got his Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in City Slickers in 1981, and after he collected his Oscar, he then basically fell down and started doing one-arm push-ups, which is not too bad for a then 73-year-old man.
Yeah. What a guy!
Absolutely, what a guy. Tell me, Billy Crystal, who was obviously in the movie, he was hosting the Oscars that time. Two things. He said, the first thing he said was, Billy Crystal, I crap bigger than him. And the second one was looking at Billy Crystal and says, "Billy Crystal, yeah, who would have thought he would be here?" Pointing to his Oscar, which then turned into a bit of a running gag for the next 2 years or something like that. So Jack Palance just turning up at random places. Absolutely, though, in all seriousness though, wonderful, wonderful actor. Yes, he can act, honestly. But in this film, he doesn't just chew the scenery, he eats everything up inside like he's Pac-Man.
You promised me all in return for my sword arm. No, I like a man with spirit, and this place shall be wiped from the face of the land.
Perhaps somebody told him that he was auditioning for a Christmas panto.
Oh, no, he isn't.
In fact, let's take a look at our favourite scenery-chewing bad guys in films. Those that slather the scenery in barbecue and just go at it. So first of all, this will probably be a future episode as well.
Oh, yeah.
Raul Julia as M. Bison in Street Fighter.
Oh,
Game over!
For you, when you met Bison, it was the most important day of your life. For me, it was merely Tuesday.
And he took on that part as well because his kids were huge fans of the video game.
Yeah,
so he must have been having the absolute time of his life. Sadly, that was the last film that Raul Julia worked on and completed.
What a way to go out.
But yeah, I mean, the film itself, it might not be looked up too fondly, although it's gained a cult following over the years. But one thing that everyone has been able to say was, yeah, Raul Julia as M. Bison, he was brilliant.
Right, I take your Raul Julia and I raise you Frank Langella as Skeletor in Masters of the Universe.
Oh yes, yes, we brought this up in the last episode, the season 3 finale. Tell me about the loneliness of good, He-Man. Is it equal to the loneliness of evil? Mwah! Chef's kiss. Sheer Shakespeare is that.
Absolutely superb. However, let us take a moment now. Tim Curry in anything.
Yeah, everything he's ever been in.
Anything he has ever been in. Tim Curry. I mean,
Stephen King's It, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, even National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, yeah. And even, not just in films, but in video games, in the Command and Conquer video game series, where he decides to go to the one place that's not corrupted by capitalism.
Space!
that's brilliant. That scene where you know that he's dying.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh dear.
It's like, we should have done another take of that. It's like, nah, fuck it.
I just believe it.
Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Again, the villain is played by the best actor in the entire film. Cancel Christmas. You know, bring me a spoon to cut out his heart.
Why a spoon, brother?
Get a spoon, it'll hurt more. Wonderful, lovely, over-the-top pantomime villain.
Even his death scene, he's kind of like, his death scene is like Paul Rubens is in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's like, you half expect him to come up and go, oh, and just every now and again just turn up and you're still not dead, crying out loud.
And then finally,
oh well, this is, as I say, save the best to last. Save the best until last. If you're gonna go big, there's only one person that you bring in. You bring in Brian Blessed as Voltan in Flash Gordon.
are you going to say the line, or shall we say it together?
No. I feel as though
Or do we just cut to him?
we just cut to him because there's only one man that can do Blessed, and that is Blessed himself.
Brian,
over to you.
Ming's not unbeatable. With all his men, he couldn't even kill Flash.
Gordon's alive?
Yes, this is the solemn news that one of our greatest peacetime prime ministers has died. But don't worry, Gordon's alive! Yes!